Hello and welcome to the DSR Daily. I'm your host for today, Riley Fessler, joined by Minna Stein. How are you, Minna?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm a little under the weather, but not too bad. Not enough to keep me from the airwaves. So, Minna, why don't you just kick us off with the first story?
All right, dive right in. Trump suspended his threat of tariffs on Mexico and Canada for 30 days after both countries agreed to strengthen border and crime enforcement. Mexico pledged 10,000 National Guard members to curb illegal migration and drug trafficking, while Canada committed to deploying new technology and personnel. Meanwhile, U.S. tariffs on China are still set to take effect, with Trump warning of higher tariffs if Canada doesn't address fentanyl exports. I did some more research into China and their involvement with fentanyl. I guess they make the precursor chemicals that are then sent to Mexico, which are then turned into fentanyl, which are then brought into the United States. The Biden administration did work with China on addressing this issue, and China did make changes that did affect the amount of these precursor fentanyl chemicals that were being made, and actually did have an impact. So, not to say that China shouldn't be addressing this issue, but it does seem that they are addressing this issue and it is working. So,
Yeah, I mean, does Trump know that? Probably not. Or
yeah.
if he does, he doesn't care. Actually, I say that he probably does know. He probably just doesn't care. It's more of the talking point than anything. So I'm not really surprised. But yeah, I mean, they can always be doing more, but if the actions they're taking are already working.
Hmm.
But, I mean, it's the
Yeah.
same we talked about yesterday where the things he wanted from Canada and Mexico were already ridiculous as well. So it's not
Right.
really that surprising. I'm glad he backed off because this would, as we've talked about before, absolutely nuke the economy.
Hmm.
You just have to hope that 30-day extension just keeps getting pushed back. The other reason I worry is I worry that makes him look weak to his base, which I don't care about, but I'm sure he does. On the flip side, I'm sure he could sell it as, look at these concessions we got. We're so strong. We're the strongest. So I don't know that the aesthetics to his base is what I'm most fearful of, because I do think at this point somebody has to have told Trump this will destroy the economy if you do this.
Yeah, I mean, it does make me feel good to see like this is what like the third thing in a line of decisions that he's made that has gotten significant enough pushback from judges or just public opinion or whoever, that have caused him to back off or change his mind or stop doing what he's doing. So it is good to see that there is a way that he can be stopped and there are ways to change the things that he's saying he's going to do. But yeah, in October it was reported that the ways in which the Biden administration had worked with China on their fentanyl production had squeezed the pipeline and made the drug harder to find. So
Good. I'm glad. It's something I definitely don't want in the country. So I agree with the sentiment.
yes.
I just am skeptical of his tactics to get there. Well, in other news, senior Russian official Dmitry Peskov criticized President Donald Trump's proposal to provide military aid to Ukraine in exchange for access to its valuable mineral resources, calling it a commercial transaction rather than unconditional support. Trump stated he was looking to secure Ukraine's rare earth minerals, including titanium and lithium, in return for military assistance, emphasizing the strategic importance of these resources. The proposal has drawn international criticism, with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz condemning it as selfish and arguing that Ukraine needs its natural wealth for post war recovery. Ukraine has not yet officially responded, though President Volodymyr Zelensky has previously considered resource sharing as part of his broader war strategy. This shouldn't really surprise anybody. This kind of tit for tat, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours from Donald Trump is not new. This is how he conducts literally every aspect of his life and his presidency and his businesses. The only thing you have to be concerned about is whether you're going to get what you wanted out of it. So Ukraine, I think, should be wary of any deal like this. But, I mean, if this is what it takes for Ukraine to continue to get defense, I'm sure they're probably going to accept. They don't, unfortunately, have another option, and I'm sure Trump knows that and is going to use that leverage to extract as much as he can from Ukraine. But, that's not really how these things tend to work. It's not really how it should work when a country is being attacked, that they're only getting support because the aiding country is getting a material benefit. But I mean, it's better than the alternative of throwing Ukraine to the wolves. So I guess not as bad as it could have been.
I thought this war was going to be over day one of the Trump presidency. I thought he was just going to end it.
Yeah, well,
that was what we were promised.
We know that's now pushed back to what, 100? Is it 100 days now? The deadline keeps getting pushed back, just like the tariffs. I mean,
looks like there's a few things going on in this presidency that might make him look weak, not just his position on tariffs.
Yeah, unfulfilled promises, I think, are going to be the mantra for the beginning of the Trump presidency.
Let's hope so.
And then just kleptocratic democracy smashing will be the mantra for the back half. But I guess we'll see.
We can only hope that all of these promises go unfulfilled. President Trump signed an executive order to create a sovereign wealth fund, which could potentially be used to purchase TikTok. The fund would operate similarly to those in other countries, relying on government assets or revenue from tariffs to make investments, though details on its structure and financing remain unclear. While Trump hinted the fund could be used to buy TikTok, he emphasized the need for a, quote, great deal, and noted the proposal might need congressional approval to proceed. Yes. Yes,
a rare admission from Trump, and that he needs congressional approval.
Yes, true. So, this seems crazy to me, but we'll see what happens.
So I don't know enough about this. It's the first time I'm hearing about the idea of a sovereign wealth fund being used to buy TikTok. I'm curious, who is the owner? Would that mean that then the U.S. government,
the federal government? TikTok? Yeah.
I don't think anyone would then use TikTok if it was a federally owned platform, because I don't know. I mean, maybe people will just uncritically go back to using it. But I imagine that if it's owned by the U.S. government, people are going to be a lot more skeptical of using it, which is the great irony that it was proposed to be banned because people didn't trust the Chinese government. But I think they will find that people trust the U.S. government perhaps even less than the idea of a Chinese-owned company owning this platform. I don't know. I don't think this is a good solution.
I don't really think it has 2 feet to walk on either. I don't know that Congress is going to get behind this idea. I don't know that, like you said, the American people are going to get behind this idea.
It's going to be a lot of money.
Right.
I mean, that's going to be well over $1 billion, I would imagine.
And I thought he was all about cutting federal spending.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this going to be? I mean, is this going to be the supposed tariff revenue that's going to pay for it? Is it going to be taxpayer dollars? I don't see it. I think there's no way this goes through. Right. But
it kind of seems just like another idea with like zero thought behind it, and just leads to a lot more questions.
It's the Trump classic strategy of just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
I don't think this shit will stick. I'm going to be honest. I don't think anybody's going to get behind this. And it is funny that he already concedes that it might need congressional approval. And that seems like almost a way out to be like, yeah, then I can blame Congress if this doesn't happen. But I don't know. Maybe that's me reading between the lines too much.
I don't know. I don't really think that the TikTok problem solution is a state-owned investment fund.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Well, 2 of Donald Trump's cabinet nominees, Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Secretary of Health and Human Services, are facing significant opposition, even from some Republicans. Gabbard's confirmation has been marred by controversy over her 2017 Syria trip, where she met with a cleric linked to suicide bombers, with new reports suggesting she may have lied under oath about her knowledge of his threats. Meanwhile, RFK Jr.'s nomination is under fire from the scientific community, and his credibility took a hit when it was revealed that many doctors endorsing him lacked valid medical licenses, which is to say they're not doctors then. But
Insane.
additionally, Kennedy admitted under Senate questioning that he had settled at least one misconduct claim, but refused to provide details, raising further concerns about his suitability for the role. Despite this, some Republicans argue that qualifications and character should be the primary focus in confirming nominees. I agree, which is why neither of them should be confirmed, and why Pete Hegseth should not have been confirmed. Because yes, qualification and character should be the only things that matter, and both of these people are woefully underqualified and don't have the character for it to boot.
But even with their lack of qualifications, I truly, truly feel like you and I would both do a better job in those roles. Like, it's not just that they're unqualified and lack character. They're like just the opposite of the people who should be put in those roles.
Yeah. I mean, I love being like, look, here are the doctors that support me, and then it's like, those are just like,
none of those people are doctors,
and they're just people in like Party City doctor outfits that RFK has paid to. I mean, I know it's not exactly that, but it's essentially the caliber. I mean, I would be less skeptical if he just paid actors to do it, as opposed to these people that are calling themselves doctors and lacking valid medical licenses. That tells me they're quacks, which we know that RFK Jr. mainly listens to quacks and junk science when it comes to his views on vaccines and medicine. So we shouldn't really be surprised that those are the people saying, man, RFK Jr. is the bee's knees. But, you know, this is, I mean, both these positions are mission critical for the sustainability of the United States as an entity. Especially Department of, for me, Secretary of Health and Human Services is even more important directly for my own self-interest, because I don't want to get sick and die from a disease that we could have easily prevented if there was somebody competent in this role. So I don't know. I mean, I think he's probably going to still get confirmed, but Jesus, it's
unfortunately
scary.
I think that maybe both of them are going to get confirmed.
Yeah. I mean, one or both. I don't think there's any way that both of them are shot down.
Yeah, and I have said from the beginning, like, I thought Tulsi for sure was the one who wasn't going to get confirmed, but I don't know. The closer that we get, the more it seems like maybe they're both going to get the roles that they were nominated for, which is scary, but...
I mean, I guess it is also a matter of how long they last.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like,
Trump's first cabinet was a revolving door. So
yes. And I do tend to hope that because of their lack of qualifications and because of how much media attention is on them, these secretary roles, I'm hoping, are more ceremonial, or they tend to be more figureheads, and then the deputies and like the people below them are the ones who are qualified and actually doing the real work. I just don't see how, I mean, if Tulsi Gabbard doesn't have security clearance to even know about the things that are going on in her own department, like, I just don't really see how she could be the one really running the show.
But yeah, I agree. Who knows?
Anything could happen. Well, speaking of Congress, threats against members of Congress surged in 2024, reaching levels not seen since the aftermath of January 6th Capitol attack, according to new Capitol Police data. The number of threat assessments jumped to 9,474 investigations, driven by a volatile political climate marked by incidents like assassination attempts on Trump and rising tensions over issues like TikTok and the Gaza conflict. Lawmakers and Capitol Police officials are working to strengthen security and respond to the growing threat environment. I feel like every few months we do a story like this where we talk about how threats are rising and violence against lawmakers or politicians is increasing. And
yeah,
it's always sad to hear.
Yep. I mean, when you live in these this polarized of times, it's not at all surprising. I think this is probably the least surprising news story today. Mm-hmm. Because when the rhetoric is this intense, and passions are this high, and you have a figure like Trump as the head of one of the major parties, it's not a surprise that threats of violence are going to rise. Mm-hmm. But another dark story to end our roundup today.
Happy Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh my God, it is only Tuesday. I thought it was later in the week. That's disappointing.
We've only lived through 2 weeks of Trump presidency.
Yeah, that actually is legitimately hard to believe.
Just a little over.
It feels like it's been several months already. Only 4 years to go. We'll be fine. Maybe. To be determined. Well, that's all we have for you today. Unless, Minna, you have some hot, media takes you want to drop.
Not this day.
Yeah, nothing
today.
Big happened. No Grammys to talk about this time.
No.
Well, that's it. We've got more podcasts coming tomorrow and for the rest of the week. So stay tuned right here on the DSR Network for more DSR dailies, DSR podcasts, etc. Daily blasts, you know the drill. But until then, bye-bye.